What is going down, Sourdough Squad and Spicy Squad? You already know what it is. It's Wednesday, so you know it's the State of the Franchise episode surrounding the San Francisco 49ers. I'm Brad Graham. That's Jason Aponte. We got a whole lot to talk about. We're going to get into the whole game from Denver and also set our sights on the Rams Monday Night Football. Let's get into it now. Make sure you like and subscribe to both channels. Let's get it in. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. All right, we are back after an action-packed first 2 days since that Sunday Night Football performance. Jason, give us we've been starting with kind of the high level overview. What's kind of your high level thoughts, just after this loss 11-10 against the Denver Broncos on Sunday Night Football?
I mean, initially the hot takes fly and everything, and everybody's venting, and I hear you. That's usually what the Sunday and Monday is for. But now it's Wednesday, and when you think about this league being a week-to-week league, the focus goes away from that game because it's done, it's over, and now the newest challenge is how does this offense bounce back? Now Trent Williams won't be there. Aziz Al-Shaair is not going to be playing for the defense. It's the focus has to immediately shift, and I don't, NFL teams flush it, right? On to Cincinnati is what Bill Belichick said. You can be frustrated as what happened on Sunday Night Football, but this team has to immediately snap back and focus and go right to it for Monday night. And this feels eerily similar, obviously, albeit in different points of the season, to the Arizona loss to Colt McCoy, and then the Rams come in to Levi's on Monday Night Football. I want to remind people the difference between those games. Yes, both games will have a starting tackle not playing. No disrespect to Mike McGlinchey, but this time it's Trent Williams. And that is something that's completely different. Now, if you want to look at it positively, Colton McKivitz did a bang-up job in Week 18 when Trent was out with all the money on the line. Obviously, you don't want that game to go this way where the 49ers are down 17-0 and have to play their way back into the game. But there is a precedent for it all. The team was 3-5, turned it around. I believe that Kyle Shanahan knows what's in front of him in terms of you have to scheme this up now. There's not going to be many deep dropbacks. Probably going to see a lot of shotgun, quick action throws. The issue becomes the Rams seem to have kind of put on tape in the NFC Championship how to slow down this running game. And for everybody talking about the running game and everything as well, the 49ers are second in the league on plays on 1st and 10, rushing plays 1st and 10, 5.5 a carry. Second in the league in first downs on 1st and 10. That doesn't sound to me like a running game that's exactly struggling. And I think they can get back to that. But the interesting portion of it is the Rams kind of knocked all that out in the NFC Championship game and kind of put it on film, how to slow that down, getting into gaps, stopping those cutback lanes, not flowing too far away, and then getting wiped out. So that's going to be the interesting part. I think we all know what Jimmy Garoppolo is, and we'll discuss that, I guess, further down. But that's going to be the interesting part for me, how to game plan with Trent Williams out, and how do you get this run game on again when the Rams seem to have kind of figured it out in the NFC Championship game?
So it sounds like a big point of emphasis for you is going to be on that offensive line. Like you mentioned, no Trent Williams, probably, arguably one of the best players, if not the best player in the NFL, at least as of last year, heading into this year. Absolutely huge loss, but like you indicated, the 49ers have won before with Colton McKivitz playing at left tackle. He doesn't have a ton of experience, but he's got it done before. So like you said, there is a precedent that they can get it done. But I'm right there with you. I do see your point where the stats would say maybe the 49ers run game isn't struggling, but we also know they've gotten some chunk yardage that will also kind of adjust the stats. I think what I want to see from the run game is more consistency, more 5-6 yard chunk runs consistently. I think what we're seeing is we're getting a really nice big run from Jeff Wilson, cutting off the backside, busting up for 50 plus yards. But then it's like running into the back of your tackles and your offensive linemen 3, 4, 5 consecutive plays in a row. And then you get put in third and long situations. And then it's almost like a trickle down effect of the way the defense is now keying on the offense. So I hear you. I think the 49ers run game has been decent, but I still would like to see it improve from more of a consistency rhythm standpoint, right? Would you agree with that as well?
100%. And it for me it boils down to execution. I mean, calling for Kyle Shanahan when there's guys running free down the field, wide open. This is the thing that kind of doesn't
Right.
have me worried about this offense. It's all about execution. A lot of that relies on Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, there are guys, if you watch the tape, there's guys running wide open. I don't know what
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan needs to do more. I mean, can't get out there and throw it into the pizza oven himself. One thing I wanted to talk about real quick last Monday Night Football, what the 49ers did when they set the tone in that game was they had a long, like, I think it was like a 16, 17, 18 play drive to open that game. And it was all runs and it chewed up a bunch of clock, but it set the message to the Rams. Listen, this is what we're going to do. You can try to stop this. You can't stop this. And that
Yeah.
kind of set the tone. I mean, the 49ers won that game 31-10. But as far as Kyle Shanahan goes, this whole thing about play calling is completely overblown. If you guys go back and you watch Deebo Samuel's running wide open, Brandon Ayuk's open on the crosser. I mean, they had Brandon Ayuk on a linebacker.
Constantly someone's running
Right.
open down the field.
Right. And now Kyle Shanahan is getting Brandon Ayuk on a safety or a linebacker, and that's an advantageous pre-snap matchup. And Jimmy throws it to K'Wan Williams, and it gets picked by Jonas Griffith. I mean,
Pain.
what on earth is Kyle supposed to do with those types of things? It's you want to see more passing, right? You guys want to see him, you want more shots, right? That's what I've been hearing all week. You want more shots. The shots are there. Now, why are they not being thrown or hit? And again, this is just one specific game. Doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to indicate where the 49ers are going for the rest of the year. This is one game, right? So if you want to look at this game and be concerned about what you saw, for sure. But I don't think it's predictive of how this will continue to go for this team, because the faith that I have is as long as there are guys running wide open, he can't not throw it to them every single time, can he? Right? Like, there's been times where you've seen Jimmy Garoppolo hit those plays, right? Like, so it's something that obviously you're concerned with what you saw, but if there's going to be guys running wide open, you can't be as concerned. Now, the other part of it is this may be a game where the 49ers might have to throw to run, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, what I mean by that is you have to lighten that box a little bit. Everybody's down in the box at this point. The book has been out on Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's one thing I want to point out to everybody. What you watched on Sunday night shouldn't have changed anything that anybody who objectively analyzes Jimmy Garoppolo, they shouldn't change your mind. That's who Jimmy is. Jimmy's going to kick away 1 or 2 games this season. I mean, look no further than last year in Tennessee. There's games where just Jimmy Garoppolo is going to kick games away. He is. So I don't know that my feelings have changed at all on Jimmy Garoppolo. That's Jimmy Garoppolo. That was probably the most quintessential Jimmy Garoppolo game. Now, anybody who wants to imply otherwise is like either just being intentionally ignorant or just trying to push a narrative, because he's not as bad as you say, and he's not as good as you say, but that was a bad performance. And he has 1 or 2 of those clunkers per season. Let's just hope he limits it to 1 for the rest of the way. Maybe they get another extra day this week to rest up, work on everything. And they're going to have to probably throw to run the ball this time. Lighten that box up. Let everybody know, listen, we're going to hit you. Throw the ball to Deebo. Throw the ball to Deebo. Throw it to him. Stop using him like that as a running back. Throw the ball to Deebo. So that's it, man. Like, at this point, got to be just about focusing on how to get this offense back on track. One more thing that I want to point out, and everybody's going to look at me like, oh, Jason's delusional, and he's, maybe he's drunk.
Delusional, Jason.
Right. Because he's yelling. All right. Okay. Offenses across the league are struggling right now. For the first 3 weeks, this has been the lowest scoring offensive, I think offensive across the league, offensive numbers for the last 10 years. So everybody is struggling right now. Everybody's kind of finding their way. So while that doesn't give 49ers fans a ton of comfort, I understand. It's happening league-wide. Like, look, and then when you look around at the NFC West, let's look around real quick. Like, let's just be objective. Arizona needed the Las Vegas Raiders, the winless Las Vegas Raiders, to absolutely bungle a game and get them. They should be 0-3. The Rams got dismantled, almost lost to the Falcons in week 2, and then they beat the Cardinals. And then Seattle's terrible. So nobody's running away with this division. So when I see, 1-3, the season's over, well, then you get Atlanta and you get Carolina back-to-back. You can easily be 3-3 if this game doesn't go your way. And nobody's running away with the NFC West. The Rams haven't exactly impressed me. They have not. They haven't figured out their running back situation. Allen Robinson has not acclimated himself as quickly as everybody thought. I thought that was going to be a slam dunk addition. So far, not so much. So the NFC West isn't going anywhere. Like if the Rams were playing lights out football and they were dominating everybody, they beat the Bills in week 1. They're whipping everybody's ass. Okay, you're scared the Rams are going to run away with this thing. The Rams could be at the end of this game 3-1, right? And the Niners would be 1-3. It's 2 games. It's 2 games. So I mean, it's just again, guys. It's week 4. It's week 4, and the schedule opens up. You get Atlanta, and then you get it's Atlanta, and then it's Carolina, I believe, back to back.
Carolina, Atlanta, then Chiefs week 7.
All right, that's scary. But you get 2 pretty good games. So
and you get 1 game against a team that you know extremely well, you match up well against, you know the tendencies. It's a good opportunity for a get-right game, especially on prime time, right? After you just kind of lightweight got embarrassed against Mr. Unlimited and the cornball that Russell Wilson is.
Well, and then look around the NFC. The Eagles look like the class, right, of the NFC right now. They're 3-0. Tampa's still finding their way, getting guys back. The Packers are trying to figure it out. Are you afraid of the Dallas Cowboys and Cooper Rush? Not really. No. I mean, the NFC South. So again, the path to the playoffs is right there for the 49ers. You just have to start kicking this thing in motion. It's that the season's nowhere near being finished.
I think 2 things can be absolutely true. The 49ers offensive performance against the Denver Broncos was disastrous, while also meaning that the season isn't even close to being defined yet. They're still trying to figure it out. I can't, on one hand, get on here for months and months and months and say the first 4 to 5 weeks of the NFL season is the preseason for the starters. And then we start to decide who these teams are in September and October. And then or October, I should say. And then we start to figure out how the league is actually being set, because look at the Chargers. They're dealing with a laundry list of injuries. They just lost Slater. They just lost Bosa. It changes the entire complexion of their team. So it's a different type of way of looking at it. Now the 49ers, they just lost Trent Williams. They're down Elijah Mitchell, and you can go down the list of injuries that they're dealing with. You talked about Azeez Al-Shaair and the MCL injury. He's going to be out for a couple weeks. They've already been down Jimmy Ward. So we're still trying to figure out what this team is. And we're going to get into the defense in a little bit, but the thing that we can all definitively say is this defense is a top defense in the NFL, and that says a lot. It would be different if we were looking at a mediocre defense and an offense that was sputtering. Then I think the panic button would we would be like definitely getting ready to smack that thing. But the fact that the defense is still strong, we're getting phenomenal play from guys like Talanoa Hufanga. Warner's still going to be a baller. You still have Bosa, Charvarius Ward and E-Man playing phenomenally. So when you take a step back and you look at the whole thing, right, the 49ers still have an opportunity. And we understand, I know you talk about it all the time, 30 to 35 rushes should get the job done, right? As long as you're not turning the football over and you're being efficient and controlling the clock. The 49ers can still do that, right?
Yeah, and that number isn't just get to that number and you win. I think if you get to 30 to 35 rushes, it implies that you controlled the game the entire time. You win time of possession. Like, that's what that really means. It's not just some magic number that you get to when you win. You can absolutely run the ball 30 times and lose. I think it's if you get to 30 to 35 times, it implies that you've been continuing drives, you've been running the ball well, everything. And yes, this defense is top 1, not top 2, not top 3. It is top 1. Jimmy Ward hasn't played a game yet. Eric Armstead was out. Kevin Givens was all over the place last week. The corners are better. Like, this defense is never going to let games get out of the way. This is going to fall down on the offense. The defense, everything that we thought this defense was, they are, and more at this point, right? Like, there is not going to be many times when this defense, they're never going to be behind 21-0 unless the quarterback is throwing interceptions or they're just fumbling the ball, things like that. But this defense is going to keep everybody in check and keep this team in striking distance in every single game. It's going to be up to the offense to execute. It boils down to execution more than anything. When you look at the film, there's guys wide open. When you look at the film, there's gaps for guys to run through. They're just not executing right now. Now you have to hope that changes fast because you don't want to fall in too far of a hole, but it's nowhere near the sky is falling type of thing right now, especially when you consider all of these factors and how good his defense is. And might I add, next year's head coach, D'Amico Ryans, right now is defensive coordinator of the year. Like and on third and 14, on 3rd and 14, when Saleh was here, what would happen? Drop everybody back into cover 3 and just no. He's sending guys at the quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, like
he's making it muddy.
D'Amico is doing a hell of a job. I have too much faith in this coaching staff. I have too much faith in this roster to be too talented. This defense is too good for this team to let this whole thing just come apart after 3 weeks. It just doesn't happen like that.
Right. There are valid concerns. Obviously, you lose your starting quarterback in Trey Lance. You have to pivot to the well-documented drama about the Jimmy Garoppolo situation, and it doesn't show up in game 1 as we wanted it to go. Doesn't mean it can't get better. So I think there is an opportunity for pause. I know there's a lot of reasons to be upset, and you know, we're watching Jimmy and we're like, what the hell, man?
And also, one more thing. Like, you're right. Look, and I understand, guys, you're concerned. I get it. I'm not going to tell you how to feel as fans.
Exactly.
And Kyle Shanahan isn't above criticism either. Okay?
Agreed.
For the man to be fired is the part that I have an issue with. But if you're talking criticism, yes, absolutely. I mean, no coach is above criticism. Andy Reid was criticized for 20 years because he couldn't manage a clock. Got a quarterback, boom, win the World Series. My mind's on baseball. Win the Super Bowl, right? Like every single coach. Right now, Bill Belichick's under criticism right now, right? He's trying to figure things out over there. Like even before Mac got hurt.
Was it Tom Brady this whole time?
Right. Exactly. So again, Kyle Shanahan is not above criticism. And if you don't like the way that he's answering questions, I'm not going to argue with that either. I mean, So I hear you, man. I hear you guys. If he's not above criticism, but the outright like, oh, fire Kyle, that's the part that I'll push back on.
Yeah, I'll push back on that as well. I think it's like it can't even be a conversation until the year is done. And even then, it's still, you understand how much time he's left on his deal. If you're firing Kyle, you're clearing the front office as well. And say what you want, but hey, Adam Peters, John Lynch, I feel like they've done a pretty solid job, and I wouldn't want to lose those guys. So I don't know. I just hear it. I know it's an easy thing to kind of rationalize, like, oh, we need to fix something. That's the guy in charge. Get rid of him. All of a sudden, it's fixed, and it's like, no, not quite yet. Because there's a whole laundry list of other concerns that come down the line.
Right, and that just means you want to start over.
Right, and I don't want to start over, especially with Trey Lance.
And this is why, and thank you. That's like leading. This is why Kyle's not going anywhere. So Kyle moved heaven and earth to pick Trey Lance, right? Still hasn't gotten a full season with him, but you want Kyle gone and you want some other coach to come in and to try to develop him. And stop telling me Sean Payton. I'm telling you right now, he'll be the Dallas Cowboys coach. Like, that's it. Like, we're done with that.
It's already being manifested.
It's done.
It's done. The Cowboys next head.
They're going to get rid of Mike McCarthy and his PFF subscription at the end of the year when they get bounced in the first round, and Sean Payton slides right in over there. It's like, it's hand glove. Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. I got to shout out Andrew Pasquini. He probably put out the best tweet from that game. I thought that kind of conceptualized like the Denver versus 49ers game. He said the 49ers offense scored 10 points. The 49ers defense allowed 9 points. The 49ers lost. I was like, oh my, like just 3 simple sentences. And it just like, I'm like, oh my God. Like, that's really how embarrassing of a loss that was. Like, defense put them in a position to win. Offense scored enough points. The difference came down to that safety.
Pasquini is regularly the most underrated everything. Podcaster, tweeter, everything as well too. But yeah, I mean, again, I did this, I think on your post-game show. I just want to apologize to America on behalf of the 49ers and Broncos for making you sit through that. I mean, if you thought it was painful as a 49er or Bronco fan to watch that game, I can't imagine the regular football fan who said, hey, 49ers Broncos in Sunday Night Football, this is going to be awesome. I apologize. And it was my fault.
Punters everywhere were thrilled. They weren't
Oh yeah,
upset at all.
big day for
Uh,
special teamers. Pat McAfee was out there lapping it up.
oh, he was hyped. Corey Soto says, I think this week is less about if we lose to the Rams and more. Does Jimmy have consecutive games where he looks that bad? Then we can reconsider what is hyperbolic or not. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think if Jimmy Garoppolo has, and I'll say this about Jimmy Garoppolo, there's a lot of bad from Jimmy Garoppolo, like a lot of bad, and there's no defending that. But I also did see some opportunities where he was pushing the ball downfield, and but not at the opportune times. Like
Mhm,
there's a lot of things that he missed.
mhm,
Now we just got to somehow connect those dots of pushing the ball downfield
mhm,
to the right players based on the right coverage schemes. If you like, and you know much more about coverages than I do,
mhm,
but if you got a robber who's constantly playing in the middle of the field, that should be like an instant alert
mhm.
that you got one-on-one somewhere, or you got a mismatch somewhere if you only got single high and the other one is rotating down
Right.
to take over something across the middle. So the conceptually, let's take advantage of that. And I
Mhm,
think that's what right now most people are just really upset about. Like,
mhm.
especially when you get into the film, right? Because you've talked about it. You see the Debos, you see the Ayuks, they are open. The opportunities are there, but he's not seeing it.
Mhm.
Do you think
And
there's an opportunity where that changes?
all right. Here's the thing, and this is what I noticed watching everybody's games over the weekend. A lot of quarterbacks, including Aaron Rodgers, have trouble with this robber that is now sneaking and rotating at the last second. And that's the thing is it looks so easy for us, right? When you're looking at it, and you're like, well, how do you not see that guy? Well, he's literally on the other hash and he's breaking down. Like at that point, when you see him on
Right.
the other hash, he's not going to break down to the spot that you think he is, but that's how they're disguising it. He rotates at the last second and he's moving. I saw Aaron Rodgers deal with this and not do it right. I saw a few other quarterbacks get blinded by this. It's just that Jimmy has done it over and over. So now it's a point of emphasis for people to keep bringing up. So I think the frustration comes in, and I will not disagree with anybody about this. When are you going to identify one-on-ones and say, you know what, let's take a shot. Let's go. Let's go.
Yes,
Let me trust my guy,
please.
right? Like, look, in Houston,
Please.
in Houston, Trey Lance during the preseason had Debo Samuel on a one-on-one, right? Threw the ball, it was incomplete. But you know what he did? He
He
saw
threw it.
his receiver on his guy on one-on-one with no help over the top and said, I'm going to give my guy a shot. Now, look, it didn't work out that time, but you'd like to see that a little bit more. So I won't push
Yes.
back on that. I think that the whole robber thing is just, it's something that Jimmy has struggled with, but it is happening across the league when you're watching other teams and you're watching the film. Like, look, I had to get away from that film after I watched it. So I started to watch everybody else. I was like, hey, let me watch other guys and but like Aaron Rodgers misses it. Aaron Rodgers missed it. Like the same thing. So I think the defenses are doing across the league, doing an amazing job disguising, rotating their
Mhm.
guy over the middle, like at the last second, right before they see it. But also, Jimmy's locked in on whatever it is he's locked in on that one throw. That's it. Like he's just locked in on that guy. And I think that's the problem. Now, the point of emphasis and the big discussion is that Kyle or is that Jimmy? And I don't even think I have the energy to start to get through that because that would be all of us speculating at this point.
Do we bring up the lip reading heard round the world? Actually, our guy who went viral with that's
Yes,
in
sir.
the chat.
Let's
Um,
go.
I mean, it created quite a talking point across radio, TV. It has been a again, but it's I think a valid conversation because we talked about it. Steve Young said it best. Kyle Shanahan fired Jimmy Garoppolo. Now they
Mhm.
got to come back together and somehow make this work when he's already replaced him. Moved forward with Trey Lance. Now it's Jimmy Garoppolo. We don't have to get it too much into the drama and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But BNA says people killed Trey for his camp versus this defense, which is true. Do you feel like there was not a lot of outcry from national media about Jimmy Garoppolo's performance? Did you feel like I felt like we've heard from, if you listen to 95.7, you
Mhm.
listen to KMBR, anyone that they had on their shows, they talked about it.
Mhm.
But the Colin Cowards, like the those guys that love to talk about Trey Lance, felt like they were kind of quiet this week about Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know. Could have been just me.
All right, here, real quick. Visual, and I'm going to do this real fast. Visual representation of the national media led by Colin Cowherd. This microphone is Jimmy Garoppolo. This is Colin Cowherd. No, block it. No, don't. No, protect it. No. So you mean to tell me Trey Lance, after 3 starts, his book is written. Jimmy Garoppolo's been in the league 9 years, puts up that effort. Oh, but just give him a break. I mean, he didn't really have a preseason. You know, Tom Brady didn't have a preseason. Aaron Rodgers didn't have a preseason. Yeah, you're literally talking about the greatest. That's fine. You can give them a pass because they have a much better track record. So, yes, the national media has been shielding it a little bit because they have to. They've already put themselves out there as Jimmy gives them the best chance to win. So you can't flip-flop on that the first time. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. Like, I don't see what's wrong about saying this is who Jimmy Garoppolo is. That's it, right? Because I've been on record many times. Jimmy Garoppolo is a starter in this league. He is in that 13 to 17 to 18 range, depending on the week. This past Sunday, he was way closer to 18, maybe a little bit further this week, okay? That's where he was this week. But when you pass the elite tier of quarterbacks, Herbert, Lamar, Rodgers, Mahomes, when you pass those guys, all of those other guys are interchangeable. Derek Carr's been dog shit. Kirk Cousins is the only thing that scares Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins on Sunday Night Football is bad. Like all of these guys, Tannehill's terrible. Baker Mayfield, all of these guys, they're in and out. So 1 week you have this guy on the top, then you can move him down to the 5th. Like it is that close, and this is how they are. They're all the same thing, really, at this point. So I don't know. Like there's an elite group, and then literally every other quarterback is interchangeable at a certain point. Like 1 week it's this guy, Carr looks good. The next week, Carr looks terrible. The next week, Tannehill looks okay. Then he looks terrible. Cousins looks like he's thrown for 400. Sunday Night Football pops up. He's garbage. Like it's literally a like musical chairs for these mid quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I want to make it crystal clear. I am not advocating for the national media to rip Jimmy a new one. It's just the consistency factor, like again, the noise factor, and we understand. We know why national media talks about this team and all those things. It's just interesting. It's just something that I've noticed and picked up. Not advocating for them to sharpen their knives and go after Jimmy, but
I think
it's just interesting the way it shakes out.
Brad, we got to stop paying attention to them too. And I'm talking to myself. Every time one of those Colin Cowherd clips comes across and he's talking about the 49ers, I have to ignore. Like I have to ignore.
49er fans would get the upper hand on Colin Cowherd if they just stopped commenting, like just muted him, and they don't get those clicks and those views from 49er fans. That would do the most damage to Colin Cowherd. Doesn't matter. All these shots that I think people, even I'm guilty of it. If we just left it alone, maybe they wouldn't talk about it as much, but that's a conversation for a different day. Money Mark says us fans need to give Jimmy and Kyle some leeway to bounce back. We need those two if we have any chance at winning this year. Point Blake. Hashtag SES. Hashtag SRO.
Shout out to Money Mark.
I feel like that's pretty accurate. Got to give him a shot.
It's week 4. I mean, if this continues and we're in week 6 and week 8, then we can start to feel this way. But like, all right, so look, the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are 3-0. Let me throw a hypothetical at you. Everyone is now pivoting to, well, Mike McDaniel might have been the reason. Okay. What if the Miami Dolphins lose Thursday and they lose 2 straight games? They're 3-3, and then the 49ers end up being 3-3.
Oh,
are you gonna feel the same way that
like the wind?
Right. Are you going to feel the same way that you feel right now when you're crowning the Miami Dolphins as the hottest new thing? Or are you going to say, well, they're coming down to earth? It's 3 weeks. Does the Miami Dolphins beating the Buffalo Bills mean that they're better than the Bills? The Bills are still the best team in football. So again, it is week 3. Week 3. Please, guys. Like, let's slow down. I get it. We all wanted to come out of the gate firing. This defense is too good to be wasted. I get all that stuff. It's too early. It is too early, even for me. Like last year, I was panicked, right? After the Arizona game, right? But the narrative switches very quickly in this league. It is so week to week, and I don't know how many more cliches I can throw out there. Any given Sunday, how many more? Do you got any more, Brad, that are just straight up cliches? Like right now, this team, their story's not written in week 3. Neither is anybody else's in this league.
I agree 100%. And so this is how I'm thinking about it, because I'm not going to pretend. I'm a human being. I have emotions that are rooted. You look at behind me. I'm a San Francisco 49er fan. So I get emotional about this team as well. We like to try to keep objective analysis about them, but at the end of the day, if you cut me open, I bleed red and gold too. So I had to take a step back earlier this week. I kind of got lost in the sauce. All the fans, were in the chat. I got lost a little bit. I had to recalibrate. And what I'm really looking at is I'm going to make a definitive statement about what this team is during the bye week. Week 9, during the bye, they have 5 more games, an ample enough sample size. They played the Rams twice in that 5-game span, including the Chiefs. So you're going to get a good litmus test of who this team actually is. So I'm not making any definitive proclamations. Again, I'll voice my concerns and we'll have critiques and things like that. We'll talk about what's good. We'll talk about what's bad. But I'm not making any definitive, even close to a definitive statement until week 9, because I think we both agree it's just too early. We don't know. Who knows if
And
Patrick Mahomes, God forbid, I don't wish injury on anyone, but
right.
Hey, things happen, right?
Let's put one more thing out there. This is a 3-week sample size in which the first game was played with a kid largely in his first game in a monsoon. The 49ers handled business against a god-awful Seattle Seahawks team. And then this game. I'm not sure how quickly people should be panicked when we know the circumstances in week 1 with Trey Lance starting while it was raining in a terrible game. And the 49ers did exactly what teams do against inferior rosters and dominated the Seattle Seahawks. And then largely played one of their worst games on offense on this side and lost by 1 point. And now it's burn it all down. I mean, week 1, you got to toss out because of the rain. Week 2 is what the 49ers are going to do to inferior teams. Week 3, the Denver Broncos have a very good defense, by the way. And by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo, stop testing Patrick Surtain. My God, man. Like, is there anyone else you can pick on? Is there anyone else you can pick on, man? Like, please, goodness gracious, in that one. I couldn't see why he kept throwing it number 2. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, why him?
Surtain's good, man.
But yeah, it's so literally, if you really think about it, 49er fans are panicked over one game. One game. And that doesn't, when you break it down in that way, that is really, really like losing the side of the forest to look at the trees or whatever the hell that cliche is.
I think at the end of the day, we're a passionate fan base, and the emotions can get the best of us when things don't go our way.
Right.
The Jedi says Jimmy doesn't have football IQ. I don't think that he doesn't have football IQ. I just think, at least if we're talking about the Denver game in a vacuum, you just want to see the biggest thing with Jimmy is, we can look at the freaking safety play. That was a bad play. That wasn't good IQ. But when I look at Jimmy Garoppolo, I just want to see better field vision. Now, can that translate into understanding where the safety is? But Jason did a good job of describing, like, it's hard to see that robber sometimes. But the key, I think, here is understanding that is going to be the primary, feels like the primary defense that they're going to employ or execute against Jimmy Garoppolo, right? So maybe understanding that and working off of it. I'm not ready to say Jimmy doesn't have IQ. It was a bad game. Let's not pretend like
it's
a
bad game. And
it was a bad game. Let's see how they rebound.
Objectively, Jimmy Garoppolo played poorly. That's it.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that's how he's going to play the rest of the year, but on Sunday in Denver, he played poorly.
Very poorly. But there are opportunities to improve. So the silver linings are there. He just has to get it done. Tony, and thank you to everyone who's been sending the super chats, by the way. We really do appreciate it. Tony says, I'm starting to worry that the issue is at center not being able to point out the pre-snap reads and that leading to bad pass protection. Am I crazy?
I'll leave it to you. No. You start, Mr. You take that one, O-line guru. I mean, look, a lot of people are killing Brendel, but he hasn't allowed a sack. But I don't want to necessarily say he's played well either. So I'm gonna leave that to you a little bit more, at least with this, to tell us the intricacies and the nuances of that, because the center is the most important, especially in Kyle's offense. the most important
Yes,
lineman.
it
Lineman.
is, and this is the hard time. I thought Brendel did a good job week 1 against, the Chicago Bears. I thought he did a pretty good job in preseason, but I am seeing a regression in the sense of assignment sound football, and from the center position, specifically, you have to be able to see the defense alignment. You have to be able to call the mic out properly. You have to be able to help set protections based on calling out the mic, and you have to be able to help get your guys in the right spot. Brendel feels like he's kind of it almost feels like, and I've been there myself. The pressure can stack on you and you can start just overthinking and over processing and putting yourself out of position, not snapping it on the right count, doing things that then can snowball on you. That's kind of what I'm seeing from Brendel right now. It is early, but we are seeing some ups and downs from Brendel. He's not going to be the most dominant blocker. He's adequate at getting to second level. He's adequate at reach blocking. He's adequate at doing those things, but he's not going to be perfect. And then when you combine some of the mental miscues, that's, I think, where you start to get a little concerning. And that's where I start, I'm a big Brunskill fan. One of the reasons why I love Brunskill so much is he is assignment sound. He does not mess up assignments. Now, he might get blown up. He might get pushed back into the quarterback every once in a while and overpowered, but at least he's in the right spot. He's always picking up stunts. He's always getting to second level. He's at least putting himself in position to make plays. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen with the offensive line as a whole is they're not necessarily getting dominated. It's more they're out of position a lot of the times. And you can look at everyone across the board. McGlinchey, Burford, Brendel, Banks, even Trent sometimes. Like they're not that word gel that we always look for. They just haven't gelled yet. And so it's hard to put it all on Brendel, but I do see some concerns. And if you have concerns about Brendel, I get it. I'm seeing it too. So I don't know if we get Brunskill back against the Rams, against Aaron Donald. My nostalgia is bubbling up. I want to see it, but we'll see what the 49ers ultimately do. And if they think it's time to make a switch from Brendel to Brunskill or at a different position. So we'll see.
How do we fix the O-line? Guys, if you're not using one of your ankles, we should all donate to Trent Williams.
Yes.
I think if we send enough ankles, it might be enough to fix the massive man. So I think that's the best way to do it at this point.
I think collectively, if the 49ers fan base donated all the ankles that they have, everyone has 2, we could get Trent Williams back and Trey Lance back.
Yes.
And
guys, do you want to win or not? Like, are you down or not, man? Win? Like, are you down or not? Somebody pass me a saw.
We're going 127 hours out here with oh my goodness. Gray Fox says conspiracy theory is Jimmy Garlovsky purposely sabotaging the offense as an FU to Kyle in the realm of I'm going down and I'm taking you with me. Jimmy is already a millionaire and handsome as F. Go ahead, man.
All right, look. I think the frustration that you see with Jimmy Garoppolo saying these called plays suck. That's what he said. He said these called plays suck. Not all plays suck. Not draw plays suck. These called plays suck, which it couldn't have been a draw play. It was a pass play. I think what you're seeing is a guy who is auditioning for his role in the league, and he can't put bad football on tape. He cannot. If he does, he will not be working or starting for another team next year.
Thank you.
You have to put good tape out there. You cannot purposely sabotage. This is why teams don't tank. This is why coaches don't tank. Because if you purposely put out bad tape, if your teams purposely underperform, you will be purposely unemployed. So Jimmy Garoppolo needs to do everything he can to show this one last time he's valuable. He's your bridge quarterback to your next guy, and he would be somebody who can give you baseline competency. That's it. I appreciate the sentiment by calling him Garlovsky. That's pretty funny, but yeah, he's not purposely doing anything. Otherwise, he's just not going to be. He's not going to be in the league anymore. That's it.
I'm a big conspiracy theorist guy. No, that he's not going out of his way to nerf this team. It's just not even, I think, a realm of possibility. And I think you said it best. He's in the business of marketing himself for his next team. He's still young by quarterback standards in the sense of we've seen Tom Brady. He's playing till he's 45. Jimmy's what, about 30, 29, 30.
30.
So he still has potentially a solid chunk of years left. There's an absolute realm of possibility that he can sign another 3, 4, 5 year contract if he plays well and earns it. But that's what he's doing. He has the opportunity now to audition for his next job. And let's face it, he's a team guy. Regardless of any perceived issues that he may or actually has with Shanahan, you got Kittle there, you got Juice, you got all his boys. You're not going to let those guys down. So I don't think that to be true. Bomani Jones said it best. I don't know what Bomani said. Do you know what he said?
To paraphrase, Bomani said Jimmy ain't it. That's paraphrasing it and being very nice.
Oh, so he went in on on Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh yeah. That was my paraphrasing and being nice, but Bomani didn't leave much much on the plate. So yeah.
And I would think that a lot of the fan base feels that way right now after, what we saw on Sunday night. But hey, that's the quarterback that we got to ride with this year, barring
best quarterback
injury.
On the roster.
Jesus says Rodgers to SF or just go with Trey next year.
Jesus, I think you're thinking a little too small. If we're gonna really start to replace Trey and we're gonna bring somebody else, why not Lamar Jackson? Oh, Lordy.
Damn.
Obviously, I'm joking, guys, but no, it's not going to be Rodgers. It's
no, you're gonna get people's wheels spinning.
It's year 3 of Trey's rookie contract. They've got to make it happen sooner than later because usually year 4 is when you pay guys off. And unfortunately, I think the biggest thing with Trey's injury is obviously, the injury sucks and you don't want that for the kid, but the year of development that's lost. So, yeah.
Yeah, Rodgers, he's long in the tooth, as they say. That would be rough because you'd have to trade for him.
David's coming. I'm sorry, don't read it out loud. This is a children's program.
See, you're getting their minds percolating. That's called manifestation, Jason. You're getting them on it.
Hey, man. Wear number 8. Steve Young will let him wear number 8, man. I promise you. Oh, now we getting spicy. I'm just kidding, man. I would love to see Lamar. I would love to see Lamar play football for us, though. It would be awesome.
Yeah. In opposition of the previous point, do you think Kyle went pass heavy in response to Jimmy's pressers comments on wanting more freedom?
I think Kyle responds to the fronts he sees. Kyle responds to what the defense is giving. He calls things that, when he sees one-on-ones, he calls things like, you bunch up the 3 and you have the miscommunication between the secondary and you got Debo running down the field. I think that Kyle responds to what he sees. Now, there's 2 ways to look at this. You can say that's smart. You're supposed to throw the ball. But then I think when you think about the guy who's under center, you have to find a way to either simplify it or you're not going to be able to complete those certain throws at certain times. So I just think that Kyle responds to what he sees. I think that he, sometimes he can be an overthinker, right? Like he sees 6 and 7 in the box and he says, you know what, man, we can't get hat on a hat. I can't execute this in this way. I'm going to put this out here, but then your quarterback doesn't see the matchup against the linebacker that he should exploit. So there has to be a happy medium. And I'll be honest with you, I have no idea how they do that. I really don't. And I'm not going to sit here and BS you and make up something. But that's something they definitely have to figure out and get on the same page because the book is out. Everybody's going to crowd the line. Everybody's going to get in those gaps. And it's going to be something where if I'm a defensive coordinator, and Lord willing, I'd never want to be. If I was, and I was facing the 49ers, what do? You draw everybody up to the line and you make him beat you from the pocket. And if Jimmy Garoppolo beats you, you tip your hat. But you take your chance with that 10 out of 10 times. And that's no slight at Jimmy. It's just where we are. There's the elite quarterbacks you can't do that for. But again, all those other guys after the elite guys are interchangeable. And there's ways to beat them. So, yeah, they have to get on the right page.
The 49ers offense finds themselves in a pretty peculiar spot because they want to run the football. Mm-hmm. How do you stop the run? You stack the box. You make it really difficult to get numbers. You make it really difficult to get to the second level for the offensive line. You crowd everything. You make it really hard for these guys to do what they want to do. But in the 49ers case, it also works against the passing game, right? They crowd the box. Then you make the short to intermediate crossing routes really difficult to hit too, because that's also muddy. So the counter to it, it has to be something to keep defenses honest. I don't think the wide back role right now with Debo Samuel is going to do that. I think we need to figure out how to get these weapons out wide, spread it out. Try to clear up that box a little bit. Open up the running lanes a little bit. Get these guys spread out. Take shots downfield even if you don't feel confident in your ability to hit it. We understand if you get one-on-one coverage on the outside, you can if you underthrow a ball, you can give your wide receiver an opportunity to fight back for DPI.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just as good as a completion.
Mm-hmm.
And these refs are going to call that every single time. They see contact flags coming out. So my biggest thing is I just want to see them counter to what the book is. And they know what the book is. Crowd the line of scrimmage, stack the box, bring robbers around, bring the safety down, play single high. Sometimes they don't even play single high. They just vacate the back half.
And
they're like,
there's going to be,
we're going to bring both the safeties down.
I love that you said that because I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my God, there's literally no help over the top on either. Right? I'm like,
and you got Ayuk or Debo, and it's like you got premier weapons on the outside, and we're not seeing and or taking advantage of it.
Ultimate disrespect.
That's what I have a hard time with. And I don't know if that's Kyle. I don't know if that's Jimmy. I think we know who probably. But that is the biggest thing. And I know we're about 45 minutes in already.
And we haven't even gotten to the Rams.
We haven't even talked about the defense.
Right.
Let's give the defense their flowers before we kind of quickly discuss what we think's going down with the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Bosa is really good at football. I don't think anybody needs to know that. Unfortunately, Azeez Al-Shaair is going to miss some time. That really stinks. But I will say this: Dre Greenlaw had a very good game. And if you want a stat to fit your narrative for Dre Greenlaw, the highest graded defensive player on the team, at least. I don't know if it was in the league this past week, but he's been having 2 back-to-back very good games. Tashawn Gibson is somebody I feel like nobody's talking. And obviously, Talanoa Hufanga is the secondary as a whole has been completely lights out. Hufanga is like a missile, man. He's incredible. But Tashawn Gibson has done a bang-up job for Jimmy Ward. So much so that even people now are saying, man, maybe we shouldn't have signed Jimmy Ward. Let's relax. But at the same time, that just goes to show you how well he's been playing. So, yeah, this defense has been super fun to watch. And this is what I was going to kind of bring up because I saw your post about it. But you could talk about this. This is how good the safety group has been on top of Emmanuel Mosley and Charvarius Ward or Mooney Ward, whatever you want to call him, as well as they've been playing.
Yeah, man. I mean, you see the numbers there, the passer rating amongst NFC West, Tashawn Gibson. I mean, you can also argue he hasn't really been targeted that much, but hey, 0.0 passer rating, that's pretty damn good. Talanoa Hufanga, 2.8 as well. Passer rating given up through 3 weeks. So the 49ers defense in the back end, you talked about it, Mooney and E-Man playing lights out. We saw Deommodore Lenoir. Actually, what did you think about Demo? I thought he played pretty well.
He played very well, actually. And I thought that, because you see him start out there and you're like, well, what did Womack do? Womack didn't necessarily do anything, apparently, when Kyle was asked about it. He just said that Demo earned it. And honestly, that shouldn't make you worry about Womack. That should go to tell you how he's improved. And that's actually very good because in stretches last year, early in the season, he was fine. But I thought he was very well in his run fits. And I thought he was better on the blitz as well, too. So happy for that. That's great. I mean, now all of those things that we talked about with, having more time to develop, now the depth at corner, nickel corner, it's something that many teams don't have. And this defense is continuing to show that they are, like I said, they're top 2. They're not number 2, man. And this is the one thing you're going to be able to set your watch to every single week, barring catastrophic injuries. I mean, Jimmy Ward hasn't taken a snap. Eric Armstead didn't play in this game. Jason Verrett might be back, and he might be thrown into this, which is just supreme depth at a position that the 49ers have largely struggled even when they fielded a top 5 defense, which they had the last 3 years. And now you're marrying that with this pass rush and DeMeco Ryans. They haven't allowed 10 points, I believe, in an entire game or something like that, or they're like 9.9 points per game so far. But yeah, this defense is everything we thought it would be and more.
Absolutely. Shout out Joey for the college fund and my guy before said Kyle Shanahan needs to let Jimmy play free. We both did the same thing.
I need you to expand on that a little bit more. What do you define as free? Because the only thing that I saw was free was receivers running down the field by themselves. Ooh, I didn't mean to say that one. I'm sorry, man. That's not cool, man. It's a shot. I mean to take that back. I'm gonna take that back.
No, but
not cool.
I think
not cool.
I think it's accurate. I think it's rooted in some accuracy. Let's see. I saw one other one. Keith Murphy says Acho real quiet this week on Speak. I believe that's the name of the show.
We gotta stop. We gotta stop giving these guys breath, man, and oxygen.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're helping the brand right now. Every time we mention them.
And again, this is a message more to myself than anybody else. Again, I'm not going to tell you guys what to do, right? Like, it's a message to myself because I get all riled up when I see Colin Cowherd. Like, well, give the guy a break, but you weren't going to give Trey Lance a break in week 1 when it was raining. Like you got what was it?
They wrote the book on Trey Lance in the freaking monsoon game.
What was that stupid ass comment? You have to land the plane. Oh my god, man! Yeah. What on God's earth are you talking about? But you got to give this guy a break. What the hell? What is going on with that dude, man? And you know what's the worst part? Look, and this is it. Like, I'm telling you not to give oxygen, and here I'm going through a spiel. Look, Colin Cowherd's a talking head. He's very, very much for entertainment. What I need you guys to do is I need you guys to decipher who you go to for entertainment and who you go to be educated. When you watch Colin Cowherd, and this is why he's so talented and he gets paid a ton of money, he's entertaining because he gives you all of these things. Right. But the other thing is, like, Colin Cowherd never played football. Emmanuel Acho played the game. Yeah. And that bothers me more because everybody always tells me, well, he played the game. I'm going to listen to him. You know what? Sometimes football players play the game and they don't know shit.
That's very true.
Just because he played just doesn't mean that his opinion is better than someone else's. It's still an opinion. And sometimes it's a dumbass opinion. That's it.
Yeah. So like you've talked about, and I've talked about as well. We gotta stop talking about their silly opinions, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna pop up, and we understand. We're gonna listen to it all because that's what we do. We ingest content. You all are here watching our show right now because you love the San Francisco 49ers and you want to hear and basically know anything and everything about them. So we understand. But we collectively, as content creators, need to leave them out of the conversation.
The old Jimmy Garoppolo press conference. We need to throw the ball. We need to hit open receivers. We need to stop stepping out of the back of the end zone. All right, that's it. We're done with the Denver game. No more.
We're done. We're done. All right. Rams coming up, man. It's another primetime game, Monday Night Football. The bright lights are going to be shining on the San Francisco 49ers yet again for the entire world to see. The numbers have come out. Again, the NFL reigns supreme in America, the most viewed freaking show. Doesn't matter what game it is. It's just the most viewed product in the NFL right now. And you better believe the NFL's shining light of a franchise, the Rams are going to be right at the top as well. So how did the 49ers get back and redeem themselves after last week's performance where everyone was roasting the 49ers?
They have to control this game, control it, time of possession, control it. The defense can't be on the field too long because, as you can see, everybody's like, well, if the defense was so good, they wouldn't have given up a 99-yard touchdown drive. Yeah, well, mile high altitude, they were on the field too much. The offense has to control this game and keep this defense fresh because if you do that, there's nary an offense in this league that I believe that can dominate this defense. So it goes back to everything that Kyle Shanahan wants to do. Now, how do you do that? Jeff Wilson had one really big run. Unfortunately, after that, everything else was kind of stopped up. Denver did a very good job of stopping the run. It's okay to give Denver credit as well, too, as opposed to saying, well, Kyle abandoned the run.
They're good defense.
Yes, they were very good defense. Randy Gregory was having himself a game, man. Colton McKivitz came in. Oh, no, Jalen Moore came in, and Randy Gregory ghosted him and, like, literally got by him. He's very good. They are good. They're a good team. It's okay to say that. The Rams are a good team. It's okay to say that.
Jalen wasn't very good.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So, look, and Marketing Pro's in here too, so that's how you know it's Rams week. So yeah, I know. But You have to control the game and keep the defense off the field and keep them fresh and not put their backs to the wall. Can't turn the ball over. But again, this should be the plan every single week. But
Yeah.
this team needs to find its identity again. And that's what they did last year on Monday Night Football. Was they bashed the shit out of the Rams and ran the ball as much as they did on that first drive and set the tone.
Yes.
George Kittle's pancaking Von Miller.
Mhm.
Jeff Wilson, they were using him as a fullback and pulling him in fast motion to
George Kittle
block.
even got a touchdown in that game.
Right, right. So it all comes back to establishing your identity. You want to play bully ball? Well, here's your opportunity. A division rival that knocked you off in the most heartbreaking way last year, and a team that knows you very well. Now, what's going to give? Are you going to allow them to have the upper hand, or are you going to go in there and beat them? Or are you going to figure out a way to game plan around the fact that Trent Williams is not going to be playing, which scares me more than anything. Colton McKivitz did a bang-up job. There's no way to replace Trent, but Kyle Shanahan needs to be able to develop right now a game plan where he doesn't put Jimmy Garoppolo in a spot where it's all drop backs, many deep drop backs, quick 3-step, ball out, tunnel screen, ball out. But you have to be able to run the ball. And I think that if you're going to control the clock, you have to throw a little bit more on first down. As I said, the second most runs on 1st and 10, the only team that exceeds that, and they're number one across the board in all facets, Cleveland Browns, a.k.a. Nick Chubb is really good. But to lighten those boxes, you're going to have to throw the ball, right? And one more thing.
Counter your tendencies, right?
Right.
The
And
tendencies are out there. You kind of got to work against yourself a little bit, right?
Right. And Kyle Shanahan, I have a criticism. Go for it on 4th down, 4th and 1. Please, man. Stop punting on your side of the field. Please, man. Please. That is my criticism, okay? On 4th down, if you feel your team can't get 1 yard, you've got a way bigger issue than what you're feeling as being conservative. It's a belief that you can't get pushed. What happened to the QB sneak? I need you to sustain more drives. On 4th down, it can't just be we're punting or we're going to a field goal at this point. Really just can't be at this point. You know what they did in that Monday Night Football game that is burned in my mind? And then we haven't really seen it. The 49ers get on 4th down. They're on their side of the field. Could have taken a field goal. Kyle stepped on their neck and threw a slant to Deebo Samuel for a touchdown over the middle. Where's the killer instinct, Kyle? Go for it on 4th down. You know how I feel about punters. You know how I feel about special teamers. At the same time, please, man, there has to be a time for you to wrap the game up and put your chokehold on it and show the other team that they're ready. You're imposing your will. There's nothing you can do about it schematically. But you have to, when you get on this side of the field, stop punting. Stop punting. Stop taking field goals. Even if let's say you go for it on 4th, you get it on 4th, you run 3 more plays and you get back down to 4th and you're on 4th and 7, and then you take the field goal, guess what else you did? You kept that defense on the field and you controlled the clock a little bit more. 4th down doesn't necessarily always have to be a punt or a field goal. So that's really where it's at. Like, come on, Shanny, go for it and knock this down, man. Like, for real, like it's at a point where I'm behind you, Kyle. I still think you're a genius. I'm still all of those things, right? Only chance, everything, all of that. But the criticisms, you're not above it. And the 4th down thing is a lot of people get criticized for going for it too much on 4th down. I forget what game we just watched where they literally almost went for it almost every 4th down this past week. It's escaping me. You don't have to do that, but pick your spots better. Stop punting when you're on the plus side of the field and stop taking field goals when you can go for it on 4th and 1 and you're on the 30. Like, if you can't get a yard, you've got bigger issues than the play calling.
And to expand on exactly what you're saying, and I think you're exactly right, 60 minutes. I need 60 minutes full throttle freaking attack mode. I don't ever want to see this team the rest of the season. I don't care if they are up 2 scores. Attack, 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 and then attack some more. I agree. Like you kind of talked about it earlier, going for it on 4th. It's the same kind of ideology. Don't play afraid, because I feel like that's becoming a narrative that's kind of building around Kyle. He gets leads early, gets conservative, or at least it feels conservative, and then teams come back. They don't get a play here. They don't convert a 3rd or 4th down here, and all of a sudden they pass the momentum back to the other team, and then it's like this snowballing effect of momentum. And I feel like it's a constant. This team, when they're doing really well, they have momentum, they have rhythm, but when they're not, it's the reverse. They don't have the rhythm, they don't have the momentum, So how do you try to fix that? Attack. Be aggressive. Be aggressive even if you feel like it's out of character or maybe there's a low percentage. Screw it. Just attack. Like I want to see that kind of screw everyone mentality. That we don't really care what you think of us. We are just going to attack this deep from an offensive standpoint. We know the defense is going to do what they're going to do. I don't think that's a worry, but I just want to see this offense show some aggression. Show like and exactly like you said, whether that's on fourth downs or uh in opportune times, just do the opposite of what you've been doing and try to build up some momentum, positive momentum. And if it doesn't work, we can at least say, attaboy, we at least appreciate the effort of trying. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like that's what I want to see. Obviously, we've already discussed and beat it to death of what we want to see from the quarterback and the running game. But if we do have to talk about Kyle, I want to see some aggressiveness. I want to see some FU type mentality to these defenses. That's kind of what I want to see from Kyle.
Yeah, and when you convert on fourth down, it deflates the defense. Not only because they have to continue to be on the field, but then you start to have that dread that this old running game used to have of, oh my God, we can't stop them. Like they are gonna bludgeon us. Like you have to get back to that
Yeah.
identity. Now, how much of that is because you're missing Elijah Mitchell? How much of that is because you're missing explosive plays out of the backfield? Sure. But there's
New
gotta be
offensive
a
line on the
right.
interior.
There's gotta be a way for you to scheme around that, Kyle. I'm sorry, man. I know you're not sleeping at night. I can see it in your eyes in every single press conference. I know
My
that it's
our boy is stressed.
I know it's not as easy as everybody says from our lips to God's ears, but you've got to find a way to make it all work. That's why so many of us were happy when you were here. It's why a lot of people regard you in the way that they do. You've got to find a way. And at the end of the day, when it all goes right, the coach gets none of the praise, but when it goes wrong, it's on the coach. And that's just the nature of the business.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a new sub.
Oh,
Niner
let's go, new
Gang
member.
Wolfcast.
Shout out to
Let's
him, man. Make
go.
sure you guys sub to his channel too, man. He called in on one of the call-in shows, man. Good guy,
Yep.
man. Appreciate you, bro.
Nice. So I think we understand what it is. It's a perfect opportunity. Every setback is an opportunity for a comeback. And now the 49ers face a team that they know extremely well. For the most part, have owned. We understand what happened the last time we faced these Rams. Um, and we get it. But it is a perfect opportunity, in my opinion. You're at home. You're going to have the home crowd behind you. That defensive line, with or without Eric Armstead, is still stacked. I feel like there are holes on that offensive line, and you can absolutely get after Matt Stafford. You're now facing a quarterback who isn't mobile, who isn't going to break outside the pocket, and you can keep him there and get after him. You can push him back with interior pressure from your defensive tackles. So I still think it's going to hinge on the defense. The defense is going to have to limit this Rams team from scoring and have to get after the quarterback and force turnovers and do things like that. And like you talked about with the offense, the time of possession is going to be huge because at halftime, the San Francisco 49ers were plus 1 minute in the time of possession game. They ended the game negative 10 minutes. Basically, the Broncos had 10 more minutes. They ate up 11 more minutes on the offensive side than the 49ers, plus the 3 turnovers and the safety. No one's winning that football game. You got to clean those types of things up. And if they can, there's no reason why the 49ers can't go in and beat the Rams. Now, it takes the execution part of it. And I think that's what, when we kind of dial it back, that's what we've been talking about today. They got to execute. It's really simple and it's easy to say. Fundamentals, do the things that you're supposed to do, and you're going to give yourself a better chance to win a football game. It's really that simple. Do the things that you're supposed to do, execute, be efficient, and they will win this game because they have a defense that is playing lights out. Offense, it's time to do your part, pick it up, and let's get this W against the Rams.
Absolutely. That's it, man. And again, as much as people are concerned, panicked, whatever you want to call it, I see people saying, well, we're not panicked, you're frustrated, all of those things. All of that goes away if the 49ers take care of business Monday night. and then you staring down the barrel of Atlanta and the Panthers. Like, so it all changes with one win. And you could easily come out of this 3-game stretch 4-2. And then what? And then after 6 weeks, are we still as scared? I think that, again, concerns are valid. Criticism is valid. Frustration is valid. Panic and rash decisions, not yet valid.
Yes, I agree. So we are in the same boat there. Season is far from being over. There's a lot of football left to be played, not only for the San Francisco 49ers, but for the rest of the league. So the story hasn't been written yet for the 2022 season, although it's not getting off to the start that we had wanted and hoped for and that we thought we would see. But there's still plenty to be defined. Any last thoughts as before we get out of here? And of course, as always, where to find more of that spicy Aponte content?
No, guys, in the Bay Area, I'll be on the morning roast with Bonta and Shasky
Let's
tomorrow morning at
go.
8 o'clock your time, 11 o'clock my time. Michelle will ask me questions about lip reading and things like that. So, you may hear me reiterate some of the things that you saw here, but yeah, you can catch me on there. Follow me on Twitter at JasonAponte2103. Make sure you subscribe to the Oh Hey There podcast on Niners Nation. Check out all my work. I've been writing daily on Niners Nation and Sprint Right Option podcast, wherever you get your audio podcast with Andrew Pasquini, the most underrated guy on 49ers Twitter, hands down. And also Underdog Fantasy, if you guys want to do higher and lower props, make sure you use that promo code Aponte.
Absolutely. My guy's working. Make sure you check in to 95.7 a game and listen to Jason Aponte spit more bars. He's been the voice of reason as
I can't
of
believe
late.
it. I cannot believe
so
it.
make sure you tap in.
I can't believe it either. Like even me, like when I turned it off, I watched myself back and I was like, who the hell is that guy? Wasn't I just feeling like a maniac on my last show? Like, look, man, it's again, you guys are entitled to your emotions. I get a little hot-blooded, especially when I see things that are directly contradictory to objective things, right? Like, but yeah, we got to dial it back a little bit. That was a very frustrating game, but now time to move on, and you have to try to figure this out. Not us. I mean, they do, right? Like not us, right? Like we're not in the meetings. We're not going to be able to do anything. But yeah, it's I've seen this movie last year. Other times, many teams have turned things around. It's not the ideal situation, not what you want to be in, but it's far too early to start closing the book, because I guarantee you teams that are 2-1, 3-0 right now might not sniff the playoffs. There's teams that are 1-2, maybe not even, I won't say 0-3. That's really hard to come out of. 1-2 that, will make a deep playoff run. So yeah, just got to stick with it, man.
Yep. So perfect opportunity this
Jason's
week.
role reversal. Jason's role reversal. Jason, yeah, you know what, man? Jason, I'm completely shocked myself, man. I even looked myself in the mirror like, who the hell are you, dude? I don't know, man.
Jason said Brad even let loose. That's how
I can't believe that. I can't, but you know what? I like it because it is a spiciness that is still controlled. With me, I have a tendency to let this vein thing like pop down here, and I get all red in the face and shit.
The real New York Jay comes out.
Oh yeah,
like
what you
Jason anymore. We start calling you Jay.
Like what you saw at the Senior Bowl, where I start yelling out dead ass and facts B, like all that stuff just starts coming out there. So yeah,
all of a sudden you're wearing Timbs. You're like, where the hell those
I grew Timbs right after. Like I start yelling. Like I don't know how it happens either, but yeah, I'm shocked at myself, man. I really am.
Nah, man, it's the sign of growth. It's a sign of continued good things coming for all 49ers content creators. I know you're going to have some good news coming down the pipe too, so we'll tease that a little bit. But make sure you tap in with my guy. My guy's doing great things out here, along with everyone else in the 49ers community. So again, we have to thank all of you guys for always tapping in with us every Wednesday for our State of the Franchise episode. And I think we covered it pretty good, Jason. So hopefully next Wednesday, we are talking about a 49ers W and how we got back on track. So that's the hope. But if not, we're going to be yelling next week too. So
once they win, that's it. You just got to be right back on. Like, yo, Super Bowl, baby, parade back on. Like, that's it.
Right. Get those Super Bowl tickets ready. We're
go make plans. Go make plans in February.
So appreciate you guys as always. And you already know we're running the dual stream. Make sure you sub to the SF Niners and you sub to Jason Aponte and follow us on wherever you ingest your social media content. But until next time, we appreciate you guys, and we are out for now. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see